Welcome to Speed in Color, a podcast and YouTube channel about custom motorcycle culture. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to get all the latest content. You can also follow Speed in Color on Instagram. We hope you enjoy the show.
All right, well, welcome to Speed in Color, the Christmas gift giving guide episode. And this is an idea that I had, and I guess I'll say right up front, I apologize. It's not as polished and maybe doesn't have the product presentation that I would really hope for down the road, but there's reasons for that, and that is partly when you're trying to get people to support you with product, they tend to look at the number of subscribers you have and the number of views. And I will tell you that we're doing okay on views. We've got some videos that have done really well. The views are coming along. The subscribers are not really where I need them to be yet. So I'm going to throw it out there right now. If you like what we do here today, gee whiz, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe. It'll help us a lot to do a much better Christmas gift giving guide next year. So subscribe, like, comment, and of course, now that we have our build stuff, what is that segment, feature, whatever you want to call it, going on, if you turn on notifications, you won't miss any BS. And BS is important. It's good stuff. And speaking of BS, I have Patrick Lambie with me here today.
Wow.
To help me out with the Christmas gift giving guide. And yes, I am calling it a Christmas gift giving guide because I celebrate Christmas, so that's what I'm going to call it, and we'll all be okay with that. Patrick is, I'll start off with one of the first things. Patrick is wearing a beautiful 762 hoodie, and his photography company, or media company, I guess, is 762. So this works out really well. And these are available. I don't know how, but they are available. Maybe leave me a comment if you really got to have a 762 hoodie, and we'll make arrangements. Anyway, that's enough about that. Patrick, how are you, man?
I'm good. It's always good to see you.
Great to have you here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the Christmas theme, there was something that came to me in the middle of the night last night that I should take care of, and talking about things that will be available. So I have a limited number of these, what I think are beautiful Speed in Color Flex Fit caps. And Patrick, Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you.
I would like you to have one of those, and you can try the size, and if that's not right, I have more in the house.
This is fantastic. Wow.
I will say too that, hey, keep paying attention here. We are working on Speed in Color merch. I think we'll probably work on some build stuff merch as well, some BS out there. So stay tuned. We're working on all of that stuff. I guess we should jump right into it with the first item. And just to let you know, I think we've got 10 items for you here today. These have a range of prices, and it's just stuff that we thought was a little bit different than what's typically done. And if you have that motorcycle enthusiast and probably that builder or racer in your life, and you would like to do something nice for them, whether it's a son, daughter, partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, we thought we would give you some ideas that, like I say, are maybe a little bit out of the ordinary. So let's get started. The first thing that I wanted to share with you that I think is a great Christmas idea, SMK Helmets. SMK Helmets are new to Canada. They've been in the US for a while, and we are remembering that we do have a lot of US viewers. So SMK is available in the US. Great helmets. I think they're really good. Patrick and I are planning on doing a helmet episode at some point here where we will focus on all kinds of different helmets and what we believe is important about helmets, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, in a much more abbreviated review of this, if you will, SMK is the largest manufacturer of helmets in the world, producing a little more than 14 million helmets a year. The wonderful company, family owned, which is really cool. I just think the whole thing is kind of neat. If I remember my numbers correctly, we're talking about 3,000 employees across 4 plants. Really, really good. So to get started with this, one thing I love about SMK helmets is they all come, all the ones I've had so far, come in this really, really nice helmet bag. And having a protector for your helmet is always a good idea. I think, especially for me, the odd time I travel and have to take a helmet with me, it's nice to have a good cover, and these covers are substantial. They do a pretty good job. So it comes with a nice cover.
I will take that for you, sir.
And the SMK helmet I want to show you is the Retro. And this helmet, you know, I think we saw a few years ago there was a helmet came out from a company, and we're not going to mention names right now because we're talking about this one. But there was a design that came out that was really, really good, and people really liked it, and it was like everybody had to have that helmet, which was really cool. But I think everybody's had one, and maybe we've kind of run that gamut. I think this could be the new helmet that everybody wants to have. Really, really nice features, excellent graphics and colors. Does come with a full shield. There is real leather trim inside this helmet, which makes it kind of nice. Probably the thing I like the most about this helmet is the chin shape and the real metal vents. And I'm just gonna see, let me see if I can zoom in over here. I don't know if you can see those vents. They are real metal, little screen, super cool, not like anything else that's out there right now. And this helmet does come pin lock ready with the pin lock, what's that called? A visor, an insert?
Yeah,
what
so
do we
it's
call
in
that?
there. Yeah, it's an insert, and it's in there, which is very impressive.
Yeah, and if you don't know what pin lock is, and I will admit to ignorance when I started this too, I did not know what this pin lock stuff was. I even bought a helmet, and like a lot of people, I think, I looked at this thing, I didn't know how to install it, I didn't know what it was or what it did, so I just put it on the shelf and didn't worry about it. If you're a little bit older and you remember cars having that plastic shield on the inside of the windows, a lot of people ran them on the inside of the window or on the back window.
I'm not that old.
Yeah, nice, thanks. When defrosters weren't that good and stuff. Well, those acted as a sort of defroster, defogger kind of thing. And a pin lock shield does exactly the same thing. It has what I'm going to guess is a silicone bead around the edge. It goes in, it matches the curve of the visor and seals against it, and it essentially fog proofs the inside of the visor.
Absolutely.
So when you got your visor down and the weather's a little bit chilly and you're breathing in there, this works to prevent it from fogging up. A very nice feature that you'll find on most high-end helmets. And I'm not saying this isn't a high-end helmet, don't misinterpret that, but you'll find that on a lot. For it to be included in the Retro at this price point is, I think is really exceptional. So I love that about it. Just really, really good. Like I say, excellent graphics. The other thing that's cool about both the Retro, and they make this in a what they call a Retro Jet. And the Retro Jet is the open face version. And I wear it a lot on the chopper. This whole hinge arrangement here is really nicely done. And these trim rings are available in different colors. There's quite a color selection available there. So you might get this helmet, you want it to be a little bit different than everybody else's, so you might order the trim ring that is yellow or red to match the stripe, change this out, and now your helmet is personalized for you. Really, really good idea. The helmet comes with a tool that removes this for taking the shield off and installing the pin lock, changing out the shield, whatever you got to do. Various tints are available in the shields. There's replacement shields available. Fair warning, okay, fair warning here. If you get one of these and you're going to take this screw out of the side, there are 2 springs and 2 ball bearings in here. So you want to do this over like a bath towel or something, where if it rolls off the side, it's going to hit the towel and stay there, because I lost one on my beautiful epoxy floor here, and you can't see a nut or a washer on this gray floor. And when that ball bearing took off, I thought, oh my goodness, that is not a good thing. So I now have a whole box of ball bearings, just in case anybody ever needs one, give me a shout. But anyway, be really careful here, but this comes off. They give you the tool with the helmet. Really, really nice. Yeah, I think this is the next helmet that everybody's going to want to have, and I'll put it on the screen here. Revco.ca carries SMK helmets. This helmet right now. I shouldn't tell you. Is it okay to tell them when we recorded this?
Sure.
Sure? Yeah? So we're at the end of September. Revco has this on their website on sale, $189.99. Wow. And I think that's a pretty smoking good price for a helmet of that quality.
Yeah, I mean, this is like ECE.
Yes, thank you.
DOT
yes.
certified, coming with the pin lock. That is, typically on helmets that have substantially higher price points.
Yeah. And I think that's really important, the certifications, and that's something Patrick and I want to talk about in our helmet episode. But just quickly, DOT is pretty standard. You could get a football helmet to pass DOT pretty much. However, ECE, it's European Commission for Economics or some.
It's the European standard, same how we have Snell in North America. This is the European.
And the European standard is really good. There's some real testing involved there. This helmet, I believe, is 2205.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Retro at this time is ECE R2205. I think pretty much every other full face helmet that SMK makes is currently certified at ECE 2206.
Okay.
So for whatever reason, the Retro is one step behind, if you will, but still, 2205 is a fine standard, no issues
Absolutely.
there.
No, it's a beautiful helmet. I do love the graphics. I think it stands out.
Yeah, it's great. And don't you love these little metal vents?
I do, very much.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw metal vents on a helmet?
No,
so
very cool. I love
it. We are going to reload and be back in a couple of minutes here. All right, we're back. So, second item that we have for you. Everybody who is working on motorcycles needs a decent torque wrench. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and not just working on, everybody who has a motorcycle. Because it's one of the most basic safety things is just to be maybe not every time you go out and ride, but if you've done a long trip or you've been out, just torque your wheel nut, torque just some basic things, and you don't need, trust me, you don't need to be a mechanic or anything. I'm one of the most least capable mechanically inclined people, but it's important. It's a major safety thing.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I will say, and just to give you a little bit of background, I spent a lot of years in the tool business with Snap-on Tools. I've had several roles at Snap-on Tools, including owning a franchise. And I also worked for Stanley Black & Decker in the Mac Tools division. So I do have some experience with torque wrenches and with torquing, as well as, building engines and stuff like that. And I will tell you, I think the most important thing about torque is not so much the actual value, but keeping things consistent. Maybe not so much on wheels. The torque value is a little more important there. Yeah. But when you're doing engine cases and dealing with low torque ranges and sealing gaskets and stuff, on a Chevy V8 intake manifold, it's really not as important whether you're at 10 foot-pounds or 30 foot-pounds. What's important is that each one is the same as all the others. That's my philosophy on torque. You'll notice when you go to do your wheel, what's a typical range for a wheel? I'm going to guess
65 to 80, somewhere.
Yeah, 65 to 80. Let's use that as an example. So 65 to 80 is actually a pretty big gap. It's a much bigger gap than the tolerance on a quality torque wrench. So there, really, again, what it's about is getting equal torque on all of the fasteners. Yep. So I like, for what I do here, 3/8 torque wrench is your mid-range torque wrench, and I think where most of us are going to work. I do a lot of work with the 3/8 torque wrench, and because that's the one that I do a lot with, I do have a 1/2-inch drive click style and a 1/4-inch drive click style. But when it comes to the 3/8, I like a digital torque wrench. And the one that I have is from Gearwrench. Very nice piece. I am a big fan of Gearwrench. I will tell you, I sold Snap-on torque wrenches for a long time. This is very, very close to a Snap-on torque wrench. Is it exactly a Snap-on torque wrench? No, it isn't. There are a few things that are a little bit nicer on a Snap-on, I'll admit that. And the tolerance is probably a little bit tighter. But in terms of function, this is very, very similar. What's nice about the digital torque wrenches is that you have several different units available. So you got Newton meters, foot pounds, there's another one in there. But you have several different ranges available. So if you're working on a metric, you're going to use Newton meters. If you're working on a Harley, then you're going to be in foot pounds or inch pounds if you're that low. But in a 3/8, you're going to be working in foot pounds. This torque wrench, when you preset the torque and go to torque the fasteners, as you apply torque, the digital gauge is going to give you a readout of where you're at. So if you can see the gauge, you can follow along with your torque. It's also going to vibrate when it gets close to the preset torque, and it's going to give you an audible tone when you hit the preset torque. So again, that's what I really like about this is it's doing so much for you. It's giving you so much to work with. If the situation is such that you're torquing something and you can't see the digital readout, you're still going to get the vibration and the tone. If you're working in a race environment, in a pit, and there's a lot of noise and everything, and you're not going to hear the tone, you can still use your eyes and still get the vibration. So there's always a way that this thing is going to tell you where you're at. Accuracy-wise, very good. Everything that the home builder would ever need. Comfortable, easy to change the batteries, good functions, just, you know, really, really a nice piece from Gearwrench. And I think it's solid.
Yeah, very nice. No, and I do think, you know, if you, again, you don't have to be wrenching every day. I mean, even something, I mean, when I change my oil, I use a torque wrench on the drain plugs because it's pretty easy to over tighten things.
It is.
And, you know, so just, it's great, you know, I mean, we've all struggled lately with, you know, you go to the shop and all of a sudden oil changes, like, you know, you're going, I'm not buying the bike, I just want an oil change. So doing these things at home are great, but you over tighten a drain plug and strip it or something, and then you've spent your next 10 oil changes. So, I mean, it is really important, and this is nice. It feels good. I like all the digital. I just use the click ones, but this is very slick.
Yep. Yeah, I'm very impressed with the Gearwrench product. And like I say, Karen bought me this for Christmas now that I think about it. And I was pretty impressed to receive this as a Christmas present.
Yeah.
So, Gearwrench, torque wrench, take care of your measuring tools like a torque wrench. Treat them well, keep them in the cases, keep them clean, all that stuff. And we'll probably do an episode on torquing because there's a lot of things we could get into around torque. Gearwrench, torque wrench, just so you know, and I will tell you, a little bit tough to find.
Really?
And because, oh boy, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. A lot of the parts supply places really have gone to less expensive tools, and that's unfortunate. And you know, the Canadian Tires and the Home Depots want to have their own brand, Husky, Mastercraft, whatever. They don't always have the best items. Other places don't want to inventory things of this cost. So I did find that, you know, to go and look at one locally and handle it and buy it was just about impossible. Amazon.ca, in Canadian dollars, $369. So a little bit pricier, but great product.
Yeah, very cool. I like it.
On to the next one.
Absolutely.
Okay, our next item, digital guard dog keyless ignition. Or what do they actually, keyless ignition system. So this is an RFID fob kind of setup. Digital Guard Dog makes a variety of these for motorcycles and cars, conversions, really, really cool. And I got to tell you, yeah, I like old school stuff, but this whole technology where you just leave a fob in your pocket, walk up, push a button, really, really good. Really like it. And in the case of the bobber, or chopper, whatever you want to call it, I did want to keep it really clean. Didn't like the idea of a key switch or having to have a key or having it dangling or anything else. So I installed a digital guard dog. Very, very happy with the product. Very simple to use. Wiring was actually not bad. It's pretty straightforward. And this is the universal motorcycle kit. I can only imagine the purpose-built ones, how easy they would be to install. These guys really do make it simple. So this item, as I say, I really like it. The control module is mounted on my bike. What I have in my pocket is this fob. The fob can be set up so that you either have to push the button to enable the ignition system or proximity. You get within about 4 feet of the bike and simply flip the run stop switch to run and hit the starter. So it's that simple. Don't need any keys or anything. I like this because there are some other systems out there. One very popular one I can think of, that what you have in your pocket is a coin-sized activator, I guess you might call it. And what I don't like about that system is there's a reader that you have to find a place for on your bike that's accessible, and you take this coin-sized fob or enabler, and you have to pass it by the reader. And you know, again, the guys at RevZilla said it best. They said, if you're going to take this thing out of your pocket and pass it under a reader, why wouldn't you just take a key out and stick it in the ignition? And I thought that was, you know, that was valid. That why would you want to do this? So, again, I like this system. It sits in my pocket. I would love to have. I'm going to put a picture up for you here. I would love to have an actual digital guard dog unit to show you and show you the wiring on it and stuff. But we get back to what I said at the beginning of the video, that when you have 250 subscribers, Digital Guard Dog, and they didn't do this, but Digital Guard Dog may be inclined to say, why don't you come back when you have more subscribers? So for now, you're going to have to take my word for it. Great product, Digital Guard Dog. I'll put the name up. This thing, I didn't find it available from any third party. I went straight to Digital Guard Dog, which I'm pretty sure is where I bought mine, and $299 US.
Not bad.
So it is US dollars, and you are going to have to get it shipped. But again, really, really good product. I've been super happy with mine, and everything about it was quality. The module is sealed, it's weatherproof, it's mounted on the bike in a place where it's exposed, because of course you can't block the radio frequency, so you need it kind of out in the open. The wiring, the shielding, the quality of the wire and everything, really impressed with the product. So that is a good idea for anybody who's doing that custom build, you know, that cafe racer. May not be old school enough for some guys, but I sure like it.
How's the installation though? Like on a scale from, I'm like a 1, you're like a 10, where do you have to be on to install this as far as experience and capability?
4.
Okay.
I would say a 4.
Okay.
I think there's a total of 4 wires to connect. Pretty simple. Yeah.
Got to mount it, and then it's
two screws to mount it.
Okay.
Yeah, not bad at all.
No, it's very cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's, besides being keyless, it immobilizes the bike if you're not in the proximity.
Yes,
Someone
and
can't start it up.
Well, and yes, exactly. And I'd have to look back at the specs on this, because it kind of caught me off guard. I had installed it, set the bike up and everything, tested it, and it worked. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. And then I went away and I did something, and Alfred was here with me, and we went back to the bike, and I hit the switch and nothing happened. And I thought, what what did I do? What did I do wrong? And I start looking at it and thinking. I'm Googling, trying to figure it out. Well, it turns out that it has some kind of a motion sensor built in. And I had left the fob on the lift behind the bike, and it hadn't moved for a long enough period of time that it disabled it.
Okay, cool.
So the fob, and I guess as an example, let's say you leave the fob in your jacket, you fold your jacket up and put it under the bike, and you walk away. Well, for whatever the timing is, I forget what it is, it's fairly short, 45 seconds, something like that. Somebody could start the bike, but after that, this thing is smart enough that it says, wait a minute, the fob's not moving.
Very
And
nice.
it shuts off the system, and now, even with the fob right at the bike, you could flip the switches and nothing's going to happen. So the
like
technology's really
That's
good.
amazing.
It's
Very
really
cool.
well done.
Nice.
Okay, we'll move on to something else electronic
Indeed,
that
let's
went
do that.
along with this.
Let's do that.
Okay. Another item that gets Bruce's full endorsement is Motogadget, the M unit. So this, I bought this one a while ago. This is an M unit basic. You can see that it says basic on there. I believe all of the Motogadgets now are the Bluetooth version, so they will connect to your phone. They did away with the basic because it just, nobody wanted one that you couldn't connect to your phone with.
Okay.
But I got this one just as they were phasing this out. This bike has a Motogadget, and I left this here, the digital guard dog, because what's really cool is I may be the first guy, for sure, I may be the first guy in North America who wired up a digital guard dog with a Motogadget on his motorcycle. And it works perfectly. If you want to know what has to feed to what, because of course for the ignition you have to turn an ignition circuit on here, and you have to do it with the outputs from here. Anyway, send me a comment. I'll be happy to help you out with it. I know when I called up the boys at Digital Guard Dog and I said, okay, here's what I'm doing. I'm wiring this up, and they said, we don't know anything about that Motogadget. We don't know. And I said, well, you know, if I did this, does this sound right? And the tech said, that sounds like it should work. And sure enough, it did. But for the rest of the wiring, what's really cool about Motogadget is all your inputs are grounds. They're not 12 volt. That means that you're running very low amperage circuits. It doesn't take much amperage to trigger a ground. Low amperage means you can run really small wires. On this bike, going through the handlebars and everything is 22 gauge wire. Typically, you'd be running about 16 gauge. So you save a bunch of weight, a bunch of space. It's way easier to loom the stuff, the whole bit. And as I say, typically a manufacturer would just run 12 volts through a switch and out to a light. It's easy. But in this case, you're running a ground from the switch to the Motogadget and then turning on an output circuit. The other thing that's cool about that is this has all kinds of built-in protection. It's got, you know, over current protection and breakers that reset, internal breakers, so you don't have to flip things and trip things. And this thing, if you look, Revzilla does a really good review on this. And I mean, they tried everything. They were grounding things out and putting voltage on things. This thing's pretty much indestructible. Like you'd have to really work at it to blow this thing up. So I love it. I think it's great. Makes your wiring super easy. All kinds of optional things, like for your turn signals, You can have them turn off after a certain period of time.
Oh.
I'm not sure if you can control the flash rate, but I know on the brake light, you can do the strobe and then on solid. That's all programmable.
That's
in
cool.
here. There's an instruction booklet, and I've got this out because I have to do some reprogramming on the way I want things to work on the chopper. Great installation guide and everything. I will tell you, the guys who make this thing are kind of techy. They're pretty nerdy, and they're European, and the way they write instructions is not the way guys like me read instructions. So it's a little challenging in spots. Alfred and I spent several minutes looking at this going, what are they really trying to tell me? But other than that, like I say, just super easy to use, great product, dependable. Now, they don't come cheap. I will tell you that. And, you know, if it helps you, rather than calling it Motogadget, maybe you want to consider it Motogadget, you know, and that will make the blow a little bit softer when you buy this for that person that you really think a lot of. So the Motogadget M unit is available at Perth County Moto in Canada for just $549.95. That said, worth every single dime. Give Jeff a call. I know Jeff loves these things at Perth County Moto. Lots of other builders, Ill-Fated Customs here in Calgary. In the States, you got Revzilla, you got all kinds of people who use these. This thing just is the standard for motorcycle wiring. So,
Super cool.
Motogadget. Okay.
Maybe it'll catch on.
Maybe it'll catch on. If not, it's Motogadget. It's okay. All right. We'll go find something else to show you. We're back.
We are.
Yeah, here we go. Rethreading. One of the things I find really challenging in the shop is when you have a whole bunch of not extra, but a bunch of bolts laying around. Maybe you're going to clean some stuff up, whatever, trying to figure out what you need for replacement fasteners, different things like that. So I saw this on Amazon, and there are thread gauges. There's little plastic ones. They're fairly inexpensive, but they have little thread marks on them, and you have to line them up, and they're difficult. You've used them before. Yeah, they're a pain in the ass, aren't they? So this I thought was super cool because it has threaded holes, and it has a stud, so you can either try the nut or try the bolt and get your exact size. And this, you know, I think for most of us, especially if you're older, imperial sizes, pretty straightforward. You got national fine, national coarse in all the fractional sizes. It's pretty simple to work with. Get into metric. Metric gets a little bit trickier. If you go to 10 mil as an example, 10 mil, I believe, is the only one that actually has 3 different thread pitches.
Does it? Okay.
So it has coarse, fine, and extra fine, if you will. So that one is really tough, having the 3 different thread pitches. 12 only. Oh, 12 has 3 as well. Look at that. 14 has 2, and 8 has 2. So metric's a little bit different. I didn't grow up with metric. It came in when I was a teenager, so I still struggle with the metric side a little bit. But this makes it really easy. Amazon item, $39.95. Oh, wow. Nice piece.
I know, it looks cool.
Anodized. Yeah, I got it in the orange because I always love orange.
Oh, nice.
I thought it was a good way to go.
I
So
like
now I'm
it.
trying to figure out where I mount it, or do I mount it, because
Yeah.
it is convenient to take over to the bench, but I'm thinking it at least needs to hang on a couple hooks
Yeah.
in here somewhere.
No, it's very cool. Very handy.
Yes, yes. So I thought I would show you that. Then, and I guess I could have cleaned the case up if I had thought of it, but you can tell this gets used, and this gets used a lot. So let me tell you a little story about threading. The first thing that apprentices usually do in terms of threading is buy a tap and die set.
Mm-hmm.
It is the worst thing an apprentice can do, and I would say for a guy at home, what it really comes down to is if you are fabricating and making pieces and having to thread a hole that has never been threaded, you're making something. Absolutely, taps and dies are the way to go. If you are trying to restore or clean threads, or bring things up to snuff, the last thing you want to do is take a tap or die to it. And I'll tell you why. Taps, if you were to pick up a rethreader and a tap, you're going to notice that the tap is a lot heavier. And you can usually tell this is a more dense steel. Mm-hmm. It's a very tough steel. And all you have to do is run your thumb over it, and you'll realize, wow, this has cutting edges on it. This thing is sharp. So you take a tap, and I understand. Theory is, well, if you're going to tap a 3/8/16 hole, then you should always be able to run a 3/8/16 tap through there and get the same result. Not really true, because now you're taking a tap, you're putting it through a hole that has corrosion, dirt, different things, and you are using a different tool than was used to do the original threading. So maybe you're putting a little bit of pressure on one cutting edge. Maybe you're a beer or two into the job, and you're pushing a little bit, and you're taking material. And I remember I was building a 350 Chevy for a Camaro drag car, and we had the block all machined, everything. We were getting ready to put it together. We were cleaning it up at the shop, and I didn't notice that the young guy, the owner's son, decided that he would clean threads. And he took a tap and cleaned all the threads. We put the heads on and went to torque them down, and the torque felt really mushy.
Uh-oh.
It didn't feel right. Tried torquing it down, and we got it to torque, went around the sequence, came back, torque wasn't there anymore, so torqued it again, and it just, you could tell, it just wasn't right. It just wasn't holding torque. And when I played with the bolts, they felt loose in the holes. And I said, what happened here? What did we do? And he admitted that he had gone to the tap and die set, taken a tap, and sure enough, with the corrosion, with different forces on there, he had carved out more material, and now the threads were so loose, it wouldn't take torque, it wouldn't hold. And we had to throw a fully machined block in the garbage.
Wow.
Because there was no way to, other than drilling everything and putting in, what do they call those things?
Yeah, it looks like the inserts.
The thread restorers, yeah. Without doing that, it was junk. So what I recommend every guy at home and every apprentice does, please do not go buy the $600 tap and die set. The tool guys, God bless them, they love you for doing that. That is not the tool you need. What you want is a rethreading set. When you look at these, you will see, first off, they're not nearly as heavy as a tap.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you run your thumb over the edges, this is not going to cut you.
Yeah, you would cut your hand
Right.
on it.
These are intended to clean out dirt, and if a thread is damaged, they're designed to push things back into place, but not cut things out. So you're really, you know, if you got that little doink on the threads from whatever, this is designed to push that metal back into place. Rethreaders, they're not going to take out material. They're not going to hurt the threads. I highly, highly recommend that with a good rethreader set. You know, here we just always clean out threads. Everything we're doing, we make sure we clean out the threads. And this set is a 48 piece from Mac Tools. They're all the same. If you go on the Snap-on truck, the label on here says Snap-on. It is exactly the same kit box. It's the same pieces. It is the same. I think these are made by American Tool, and everybody has the same one. The Matco truck, they're all, trust me, they're all the same. They come with a couple thread files. I have limited use for thread files. I find that mainly heavy truck guys will use thread files. So those don't have a lot of value for me. But the rest of this set, you've got your metric dies, you've got national fine and national coarse. And there is not much that you can't do in the way of building motorcycles to restore threads with this. I did notice that there seems to be a 53 piece set now, which is new from when I was in the business. I always sold the 48 piece, but there is a 53 piece available now. I haven't looked at the individual pieces to figure out what the difference is, and it looks to me like it comes with one less thread file. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But either way, 48 piece set or 53 piece set, doing this for somebody you care about, you would be doing them a huge favor. And like I say, please do not run out and spend a bunch of money on a tap and die set, because you really, unless you're fabricating, unless you're going to be a millwright.
Yeah, and leave that for the millwrights and the machinists, the people who actually are trained and have the skills. I mean, it's...
Absolutely. Actually found the 53 piece set at homedepot.ca for $247.73. Now, I don't know what the price would be on the tool trucks, probably similar. Would you find this? I'm sure in the US, Harbor Freight's going to have this, probably this exact one made by American Tool. Shouldn't be a problem to find it. In Canada here, KMS Tool would probably have it. Yeah, should be pretty easy to find.
Yeah, and if you're building, that's a must-have.
Absolutely.
It's going to save you so much time down the road if you don't take the time to clean things. So yeah, I like it.
And have you noticed that motorcycles seem to get dirty?
That's amazing.
Why is that? How does that happen, huh?
No, it's important.
Yes. So for sure, great product, great tool. You want to have one of these in your shop, in your toolbox for sure. Okay, we'll find something else. All right, now we're getting into the big boy stuff. So chop source frame jig. This is not something that every guy at home is going to have. I get that. I do enough playing around. This was something that I really wanted to have. And, you know, it has worked out really well. You could, if you were doing, you know, frame production and pounding out a lot of these things and welding them and stuff, you would build a more purpose-built, heavier, possibly heavier jig to hold those frames. For a guy at home who might do an XS 650, might do a soft tail, this frame, that frame, whatever, this works really, really well. Excellent design. The construction is really, really good, and I'll just give you a rundown. Anything you're seeing on the camera that is black, these are the pieces that come from Chop Source. All of this rectangular tubing I sourced locally from Metal Supermarket. And Chop Source gives you all the dimensions for this stuff. They tell you exactly what you need, the wall thickness, everything you need, lengths. You can build this shorter. I went with the longer version because I do plan on building a dual engine motorcycle.
Of course you do.
So so I wanted the longer jig, to be able to build a longer frame. But other than that, you know, it's really simple to order up the pieces. Metal Supermarket cut everything to length, delivered it right to me. I welded up the pieces that needed to be welded. Wasn't a very big deal. They even tell you, you know, where your welds have to be to keep everything working right. So on a piece like this, the weld needs to be here because if you put it down the side, it's going to interfere with this.
Okay.
So really good instructions, excellent quality, nice powder coating. Stuff seems to be really accurate. Really, really happy with this product. And the standard jig gives you the neck piece, and I'm not sure, this centerpiece might be an option. You get the tail piece, which, you know, is where the rear axle would go through. What I did order that was special on this one is the rotisserie. So Patrick, if you just go to the other end, there is a bolt below center there.
Yeah.
And if you undo the nut,
Sure. As he says, undo that nut.
there should be a nut on there. And if you just spin the nut off,
Yeah, mine's not working. Oh, there we go.
can you spin the nut
Yeah.
off in there?
Got it happening.
Just hold the nut because it's not captive. It's,
Oh, okay.
no, the nut, just
I'm
put
doing
your
it
hand.
wrong. Oh, I see.
There
the
you
back
go.
nut. Yeah.
That's it.
I'm doing
So
it
if
right
you just,
now.
yeah, you are.
So take it all the way out?
Take
so
it
you
all the
can-
way out.
Okay, and then you're going to spin it.
And then if you pull the bolt back,
Yep,
you don't
I
have
did.
to take it all the way
Yeah,
out.
it's
Just
back.
pull it back. So now
Oh.
this turns. And
So when you're welding whatever, now you've got
now,
easy access.
yes, exactly. And for a guy like me with my essential tremors and a pretty tough time welding, I can get this in a position where I can really lock my arms down and you know, run the best weld I can. The other thing is though, just for cleaning a frame, like there's so much work to get this frame cleaned up. I could have it sandblasted. I'm not a big fan of sandblasting. I like to clean as much as I can by hand with either discs or 3M bristle discs, whatever. But cleaning this up, getting it ready for the hardtail is really nice on here because I can flip this thing around and do whatever I have to do to get at things, to cut things off, to do whatever.
Very cool.
So this is really good. And if you want to just pop that bolt back in right there, there we go, and put the nut on so it doesn't accidentally fall out and turn.
And if I get this wrong, you can always rethread it. So
Yeah, we can rethread it. You're right. So that's the Chop Source frame jig. And I think you said you had some questions.
well, let's start out with the base. So this is not for the beginner. This is for, you know, the serious guy who is building.
Yep.
So what have you built on? So we got, this is a 650
So
on here?
this was on here at
Yeah.
one time when I corrected everything on here. This is the XS 650 that I'm building for And another shameless plug for the Bad Livin' Roadshow next year. So this is the chopper that we're going to take to the Bad Livin' Roadshow. What we're doing is getting this ready for a TC Bros hardtail kit. The hardtail kit, you have to cut certain tubes, and then the hardtail kit slides on here and marries up to everything.
Yeah.
We'll weld that up. Then we've got that Springer front end that's sitting off to the side there is going on here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to build a hardtail chopper to take down to the Bad Livin' Roadshow.
And then how does this help you as far as setting angles and everything? Like when you're doing, the rake and trail and everything?
Right. So it will do a lot for you. Having this part of the frame secured, and once we have the hardtail on, have the rear secured. Now you're going to maintain all your angles here. If you are going to rake it, you can make a cut there, change the angle of the neck,
Yep.
and then weld it back up. And everything is adjustable. You can move all this down. So if you're going to rake it, lengthen it, do this, do that. This gives you all the versatility to do that.
Now, is there an option? Because not everybody can do as you do. Get the metal, weld it. Can you get this?
As far as I know, you cannot.
Okay.
They expect you to get the metal locally.
Yeah.
And
if
again,
you're building a frame, they assume you can get the metal and build
exactly. Exactly. And again, I guess locally it wouldn't be bad. I couldn't find anybody locally who stocked the frame jig, the Chop Source kit. I did find one local shop, and I don't think Kenny would mind me saying it was Ill Fated Customs, and they had one in their showroom, but Kenny didn't want to give it up very badly.
Right.
And I've talked about this before, the problem for Canadians, and I'm sure that Australians and a whole bunch of other people encounter this, the problem is shipping costs you so much money on heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Karen had priced, she was going to buy me the frame jig for Christmas one year, and she looked at the price of the frame jig and everything, and she said, oh, that's not so bad, I can do that for him. And she went to order it and got the shipping cost, and the shipping cost in US dollars was more than the cost of the frame jig. And of course, as you know, we have to convert our Canadian dollars to US dollars, which means we pay a premium, and then for that much shipping. So we picked this one up when we went down to Vegas. We drove down, spent a week down there, and we were able to bring it home, and it comes back duty-free and tax-free, which makes it pretty affordable. So that all works out pretty well. But I can't imagine what it would be like trying to get this steel shipped.
Oh, so were the casters a Bruce add-on?
The casters are a Bruce and Alfred add-on.
Okay.
And you'll notice it's kind of hokey right now. It's all bolted together. We wanted to make sure it worked and everything. So one of the next tasks here is to actually weld those.
Okay.
But again, we weren't sure how it was going to work out and if those casters would hold it. But everything is absolutely fine. So we will weld that in place. The nice thing about these casters, they have a lever. So you just flip the lever up and it drops it down onto the feet that come with the jig.
Your stability.
So then you drop it down, you get out your gauges, and you level this up with the adjustable feet. And then you know your level, and everything you do on the frame, you know you're working from a level platform. But for moving it around and what I'm doing right now, cleaning this up, it's great. I roll it outside so I'm not making a mess in here. Clean the frame, do all of that outside. I don't care if it blows down the alley, that's fine.
I happened to see a recent clip from BS where you were doing exactly that.
That's right. On build stuff, we were cleaning it up.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't know how
Yes.
to use it, but I like it.
I'm very happy with the Chop Source product. I think they're doing a great job with this stuff. So again, if you've got that sort of specialist, that person in your household who's doing something really special, the Chop Source frame jig, what they call the full kit, which is everything except for the rotisserie, would be $399.95 US, and then the rotisserie edition is an extra $269.95 US.
Seems pretty reasonable, again, for the person who...
For what it is,
Yeah.
absolutely. And unfortunately, unlike Motogadget, there is no nice way of saying Chop Source. It kind of is what it is. So there you go.
Yeah, I can't do it anyways.
Anyway,
Let's
that's
do
good. We're going to roll this out of the way and bring something else in here.
Excellent.
Patrick, you're on.
Cool. Let's talk about something that every motorcyclist, regardless of what they ride, tires. It's the common theme, and it's probably sometimes one of the most overlooked items on the bike. So depending on your budget, if you're on a budget or you don't like the person that much, but you want to get them a gift, one of the most important tools that you'd be amazed how many people don't have one is a tire pressure gauge. This one in particular, I can't remember where I got it, but it's a very nice one. It's got brass fittings. It's very accurate. I think it's like a $20 item, but that $20 item is so many guys, well, not guys, girls, riders, will spend so much money on their bike's performance, but yet they never check their tire pressure. And it is one of the, if you ever want to know how important tire pressure is, go out on your pedal bike, your mountain bike, set the tires at 20 psi, and then set them to the correct, probably 45 psi, and ride it both ways, and you will be amazed how much better it rides with the correct tire pressure. Your bike, your motorcycle will handle better. Yep. It will perform better. It will get better mileage. It will turn better, stop better. It's just super important. And there are, because Bruce has a whole bunch here, there is no shortage of, you can get electronic ones. You can get, yep. There's a lot of guys who are very, race teams, etc., have the ones that actually have the liquid inside.
Yes.
And you recalibrate. But it is a really simple gift, but it's also a really important one. I cannot...
So these two are very similar.
Yep.
Important thing there with motorcycles, you want a gauge that has an angled end.
Yes.
Or a 90-degree works as well. Big drawback to this inflator end gauge setup is that this is a straight on. Mm-hmm. Really, really tough to use on motorcycles. There's not many situations where you have enough clearance to get this straight on a valve. So this is a cool idea, being able to hook it up to your compressor, inflate the tire, mm-hmm. as well as let some pressure off. Great idea. Just make sure that you get an angled foot, what are the air chuck, whatever they call that, either angled or a 90-degree angle on there. This one is digital, has a light on it, kind of cool. I love this inflator. It's just that it is very awkward on some motorcycle rims.
And it does actually lead to another potential gift that we don't have here, but valve stems you can get aftermarket. They cost about $12 for a pack of 2 90-degree valve stems.
Right.
So all of a sudden, instead of your valve stem popping up where it's so hard not only to get a tire pressure, but put air in, all of a sudden now it's coming out sideways. Now for the purists with choppers and whatever, that may be not a preferred look.
Yep.
But from a practical look, like when I'm at the track, it's wonderful. And, it's something simple. If you're changing a tire, it takes a couple minutes to flip out a valve stem and put in a 90-degree one. So, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
On the touring bike, I have one similar to this, but even a little bit cheaper, just in the tour pack.
Yeah.
Just so I can check it when I'm on the road. Really not room on the chopper, but you know what? Now that I think about it, a guy could even stick one of these in the bedroll if he wanted to. Price-wise, I don't know if you looked, but from the very basic Canadian Tire option of this at as low as $3 up to $100 plus for this kind of setup, depending on who you get it from and digital or gauge style, whatever. So you're in that $3 to $100 range.
Could be a great stocking stuffer
Yes.
for whoever. I mean, but it's a really important thing.
Yes.
It's makes it perform better. It's safer to ride. So definitely a must do. And then we have sitting here the Rabaconda tire changer.
So that you can change your valve stem.
Yes, well, while you're at it, you can change your valve stem. So if you've spent any time, I spend my time riding on the racetrack. So we go through tires 4 or 5 sets in a season. If you've spent any time going to a local shop these days, and I'm not picking on the local shops, but the reality is it is expensive. Even if you take in loose wheels and you take them the tires that you bought online because you're saving a lot of money, you will pay $75 a wheel for them to simply change your tire.
Yep.
Which is fine if you're doing one a year or one every couple years, then that's fine. But if you're doing a lot of tires, if you're like Bruce, where you've got this shop and you're forever, well, what about this wheel? What about this wheel? Wouldn't this white wall look cool? This is a great tool. Even if you're the guy who does it once a year. I mean, we were changing tires this weekend and 3 or 4 of us flipped over tires. It pays for itself. You wrote down the MSRP. I can't remember. I think it's about $1,000.
And I was going to ask now, I mean, you are pretty mechanical. You do a lot of stuff, and you do well with this. But a novice, how's he going to do with this thing?
I am absolutely a novice, and this is manageable. In the world that we live in with YouTube, there are enough instructions that you can do this. It's set up that you're not going to scratch your rim, you're not going to dent your rim. I know a lot of the old school guys who I know will do their wheels with just a couple spoons and take them off, and it's amazing how many times they gouge their hand, gouge their rim, they're kicking things around. This is a good tool. I mean, this is it. It folds up into, I'll grab.
Sure. And I watched the video, and this thing, in terms of scratching the rim and stuff, this thing looked really good. It looks like they figured this out.
Yeah, I mean, it comes in a bag this big. It's heavy, which is good because it is a sturdy piece of equipment, but it's set up. You can break the bead. It takes no time at all. I mean, you literally, and unfortunately, I apologize, I didn't bring a wheel, but your wheel goes on there, you break the bead with that, and then you pop on do your bead both sides, put on the duck head, which is really just a ratchet style device that runs around.
Okay. There you go.
Pops off the tire. And then use the same machine to put it back.
Slides in between the tire and rim.
Yep, and it does it slick. It's plastic. It's not going to scratch
it's that right kind of plastic
yes.
too. You can just tell feeling it that it's that
Yeah.
right density, right slipperiness,
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it depends on the individual who you are buying for. If there is someone who is comfortable, again, I'm as novice when it comes to being mechanically inclined as you can get. And at this point, between doing my own and other people's, I've probably changed 24 sets of wheels on this. Quick, easy, you can do cast wheels easily. You can do spoked wheels. It does come with just the only adapting part is there's a strap to hold the wheel in place.
Okay.
Because on cast wheels, there's just a pin that goes in there, and which is obviously not good for wire spoke wheels, but you can do wire spoke wheels. It is, I highly recommend it. It's sturdy. This one, as you can
Nice.
tell, has been used a lot already because it is
Yes.
not clean.
And you're not having any issues with wear, nothing's loosening
No.
up or anything, it seems to
Not
be.
at all. It's fantastic. I will tell you honestly that, and I know Bruce has the prices, they have a basic or a starter kit that they call it, which is how much?
So the street bike starter kit is $959, and I didn't make note of US, so I'm thinking that's Canadian.
Yeah, it is. They now have, they've
Yeah.
just started Canadian online sales.
Okay.
And then
Then there's the street bike ultimate kit, which I noticed had a BMW adapter for
Yep.
the one-sided.
that's right.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. There were a couple of adapters in
Yeah.
there.
I would, honestly, and I'm not trying to hurt Rabaconda's sales, the starter kit is what you need. If you need an adapter for a BMW, you go on their website, you can buy just that.
Right.
Because other things that come with it, they give you like a tub of bead grease. You don't need that. You need soap and water. Put
Right.
it on, and that greases up your tires to come off. So
I imagine if a guy was starting a mobile service truck,
Yeah.
something like that, then you might want to order the kit so you didn't get caught
Yeah.
without something. But
possibly,
Yeah.
but I mean, the starter kit. One of the important parts that did not come with the starter kit before is these are drop center tools. So when you're changing a tire, one of the biggest problems is not letting it keep coming out to the edge, because as the wheel comes, or the tire comes out to the edge of the wheel, it puts more pressure when you're trying to put a new wheel on.
oh, okay.
So you use these and it pushes the wheel in. It makes it easier. These were not initially part of just the basic starter kit.
Right.
Now they are. There's not a lot of reason to get. The kit now comes with a couple different spindles. So this is where your wheel goes over. They've now coming with a narrower spindle that will fit something like some of the wheels that we were looking at here, trying
Right.
to find one. They come with a comb that goes on with a whole bunch of adjustment sizes,
Right.
depending on the rim that you have. It's honestly one of the simplest approaches to doing it. I've gone
Cool.
over to guys' houses where they've got like the full-on tire machine, and I've had rims chipped and scratched, and this one, and I can
Now-
do a wheel in under 10 minutes now, taking a tire off
Okay.
and putting it back
Cool.
on.
Now, do you have the Rabaconda wheel balancer as well?
We use a different one right now. They've just come out with a wheel balancer.
Okay, because I saw it on the
Yes.
website. And Rabaconda, if you're listening, Patrick could use the wheel balancer so we could display everything here in next year's show.
Yeah, so absolutely. And it is, I mean, Rabaconda started for dirt tires. And they've now expanded. They still do dirt bike tires. They have the street bike tire changer. They also have, if you have small children, they have for mini bikes to do.
Oh, okay.
So they've got kind of the 3 tire changers, and now they've expanded into having balancers.
So now I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Would the mini bike one also do like Groms and monkeys and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, it's for a certain size wheel, because
Okay.
this one would be, you know, the bead breaker can only go so far down.
Well,
on
looking
your-
at the position of this.
Yeah, and those are just to keep your wheel, your rim
Right.
off.
And there's some adjustment.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you'd
these
get
are
small
magnetic.
enough.
You can slide these all around wherever you want.
Okay.
The challenge is your bead breaker will only go down so far.
Right.
So if you get like a
Right.
small, 12-inch wheel off of a mini bike, this bead breaker will not reach it.
Okay.
And that's why they've got for the smaller, and I don't know off the top of my head what size the wheels on a Grom are, but they're not much bigger
Shamefully,
than...
I don't know either.
Yeah, that's awkward. But they are something in the range of 12, 13 inch,
Yeah.
I believe. So this wouldn't work simply because in order to have something where you can break the bead on a 17 or up to maybe a 21-inch wheel,
Right.
you're not going to be able to get the range and maintain the stability. Because this is, even though it fits in that little nice containing bag, this is a heavy piece of equipment.
Right.
Like when it's all in there, it's 50, 60 pounds.
Yeah, no, it appears to be
It's
substantial, real good.
Yeah.
This is built so you can
Yep.
stand on it, I take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I did review this for Inside Motorcycles, and the only thing I did suggest it would be nice if there was something similar on the back, just to give
Yes.
it that additional stability.
Yeah.
But honestly, once you get used to using it, you put a foot on there and you're away to go.
It appears to be pretty well thought out.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing how simple changing a tire is when someone takes the time to go, let's make a simple machine to do it.
Cool. And again, Rabaconda, XS650s, Harleys, there could be a lot of wheels done here too. So maybe there needs to be another deal out there, but we'll talk about that later.
Absolutely.
Good.
There you go.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Anything else?
Not on this one, no.
And I don't think I have any questions. I like it. It's
Cool.
cool. All right. We'll get the next one up. Okay. We're going to get this wrapped up. This is the last item. Going back to Chop Source, because I'm pretty impressed with the stuff they're doing right now. Going back to Chop Source. So I'm building the XS650 for Bad Living next year. And of course the frame I needed to work on. I was working on the engine. I had another manufacturer's engine stand. Not a bad piece. I'm not going to mention names or anything, but not a bad piece. There wasn't an issue with the quality or the function or anything. But I did want something where I could access the bottom of the engine. So I got looking around. Chop Source for an XS650 has two different, and I wouldn't call this an engine stand, I would call this engine stand adapters or brackets. So to be clear, the red part and this rotating part are part of a typical automotive engine stand. This one came from Amazon. Karen bought it for me. It's great. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. From here out, from these 4 bolts, from this mounting plate out, is the Chop Source XS650 engine adapter brackets, whatever you want to call it. And they make 2 different versions of this, and I think probably the first ones they did, and these wider at the bottom, narrower at the top. So these are individual, they have slotted holes at the back that match up to your engine stand. And then this bolts onto the engine. And I don't know which way is easier to go when you're mounting it. Alfred and I have typically been using a lift, bolt this to the engine, then bolt it up to the engine stand. But that's the basic one, and the basic one does a great job, holds the engine really well, takes the weight and everything, and with it on there, you can rotate the engine so you can access the bottom. If you're working on the clutch, stacking the clutch plates, whatever, you can rotate that side up, drop them on. Good, good, good. What the original, the basic, doesn't do for you is it doesn't have these extra arms. And yeah, no, come on and take a look. So these extra arms, okay, extend out and take this. They meet up with the case, and in a second I'll show you. They take the weight. So this makes a situation here where we can, and I'm just going to put the handle in. We can roll this over. Pull the pin out, whoops, pull the pin right off. That was good. That may need an upgrade, just so you all know. So now we're going to turn this over, and I have never done this before. I think I have everything bolted in place, but we're going to find out real soon.
Right away.
Okay, so turning that over now, and watch this. I can even show you on the camera. See this? Now you can access the crank. The filter goes here, you got the drain plug. You can access all kinds of stuff on the bottom of the engine. But what's really cool...
Do you want that pin?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab that. What's really cool with this setup is now you can remove this lower mount point.
Okay.
And those arms are supporting the case. Now, the cases are split, and I've got the side covers on, but the cases are split across here. You can take the bottom case off and access the whole transmission, gear selector, what do they call it, the shift drum. All of that stuff now you can access, and this is holding the top case, which is on the bottom right now, but it's holding the top case, so everything remains in the case in position, and you can work on the whole thing. I did this on this particular engine. I did that with this on a bench, and I'm here to tell you it's a pain in the ass. I wish I had had this. So the premium set of adapters is pretty functional. It's a pretty nice setup. And if you have that special person in your household who is into XS650s and is going to build a couple of them, absolutely, this would be a great gift. And I would probably, if it was, if it was the first one, I'd definitely go with the premium. The basic one is good if you don't have to split the cases. That's the big thing right there.
Okay, so that's for the 650. What about other motors, other brands?
Well,
is there a whole selection?
And that's where, like Rabaconda, we're going to send a message to ChopSource. ChopSource, we need this for more engines. Man, I would love this for a Sportster. Right now, the only thing they've done is XS650.
Interesting.
Triumph. There's got to be a ton of Triumph guys out there who would love to have this. So I'm really hoping that ChopSource is going to carry on. I would buy a Sportster one in a heartbeat. Big V twin, big Harley V twin, absolutely. I'd buy that even if I didn't have a motor to do, just to have the thing on the shelf for when I did. I don't know that I'd ever buy a Triumph one, but that's no comment on Triumph. That's just Bruce doesn't need to get into another kind of motor. But
no, I'm just thinking of all, like, I know a lot of people who race and who are always rebuilding engines, so whether it's like an inline four, whatever.
Absolutely.
This, like I've seen how you said, guys have it on the shelf, and they're, they're forever fighting to get it in the right angle, the right position. I mean, I know it's a basic engine stand, but having the proper mounting bracket is...
Yeah, this makes working on XS650s even more appealing, just because this makes it so good to work on. So yeah.
I'm going to have to ask them why they picked that motor to start. I'm just so curious.
Well, I think it may have to do with, I think ChopSource works closely with TC Bros. I know TC Bros does the hardtail kit. They do a
Okay.
lot of XS650
Okay.
stuff. It's kind of a specialty of theirs.
Yeah.
So that may be where it comes from. I don't know for sure. I was going to mention the engine stand. These things are very reasonable to pick up. Oh, I should tell you what these are worth. The engine stand is very reasonable to pick up. Fair warning, there are 3-wheeled ones that are fairly light. They would easily handle the weight of an XS650. My issue with the 3-wheeled ones, and again, I've had more weight on there, you know, a small block Chevy, and if you're rolling that thing and it hits a nut on the floor that you didn't notice, or a pebble or something, there is a tendency for them to want to go, they want to tricycle on you.
Yep.
and go up on 2 wheels. This one that Karen got me with the 4 wheels is skookum. It is the way to go. Even with a big engine on here, when I build a race engine or something, no issue, no stability issues or anything. And what makes this one really cool is there's a pin down there and I guess what you would have to call a 5th wheel on there. So you take that pin out, and with nothing on here, of course, that front assembly folds up.
Oh, nice.
And then you put the pin in and lock it so it can't flop down.
So it's
now your depth is
Yeah.
this rather than that. And you can tuck this thing in up close to a wall, up close to a shelf. Really, really nice for storage. So this thing is pretty skookum. I was shocked that Amazon would deliver something this heavy, frankly. And the guy brought it right to the front door.
Nice.
I'll give him credit. He didn't look happy about it, but he did it. And I'm not sure. I think this was in that $300 range.
Nice.
But definitely, if you're going to do this for somebody, do them a favor and get them a 4-wheel one. If you're doing it for yourself and you buy a 3-wheel one and you have a problem, shame on you. But if you're doing it for somebody, I would say get the 4-wheel version for sure.
Just remember, you know, when we were all younger and we had, you know, the big red trike from Honda,
Yeah.
and how much
Yeah.
they would crash. That's why they don't make them anymore.
There you go. There you go. So, Chop Source XS650 engine stand brackets, the basic kit, $59.95 US.
Oh, wow.
Comes with all the hardware, all the bolts to bolt it up to the engine stand. Really good job. Chop Source includes all that. The deluxe XS650 stand that allows you to split the cases is $124.95 US. And again, for all of our Canadian viewers, shipping's going to cost you a little bit of money. You know, it's certainly nothing as big as the frame jig. It is going to cost you a few bucks, but they do ship UPS and FedEx. They sent me this FedEx. Wasn't terrible, but you know, that is something that we live with. So there you go.
It's fantastic.
That wraps it up for our first ever Christmas gift giving guide. I want to thank you for joining us. Hopefully it gives you some ideas. And I'll say it again because they tell me you have to keep saying it. If you would subscribe and follow and like and comment and all those things, we will just shoot up the YouTube ratings like crazy. The algorithm will fall in love with us. And next year we'll be able to do this bigger and better with a bunch more manufacturers. So there you go. That's my pitch. Please subscribe. Thank you for being here, Patrick. Thank you so
Anytime.
much. Appreciate
Anytime.
it. Anything you need to say?
No, enjoy the holidays.
Yes, absolutely. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.